Today I'm going to be addressing a video that's been put out by Mohammed Hijab. He is a very boisterous and animated young fellow. And his video is a response to Ben Shapiro on Israel and the latest barbarism that's been happening over there.
Israel kills enough of these sons of bitches that this is not a problem again. Whenever anyone suggests that Israel is willfully killing civilians, that is the most ignorant, bigoted, anti-Semitic bullshit ever said. There cannot be a ceasefire. Anyone who calls for a ceasefire is a terrorist sympathizer under these circumstances.
What have you been smoking, boy? Huh? What have you been smoking?
Well, that was quite the intro, wasn't it? But let's continue.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? It's been a very
I'm doing very fine. Let's go.
volatile time because of the conflict. And it's been something which has really been, I'll be honest, infuriating me. It's making the entire Muslim ummah sad. It's making us very angry at the same time. Today I'm going to be refuting Ben Shapiro. I've refuted him in the past, and I'm going to be refuting him again. But before I do so, I just want to make something very clear. A lot of the people that are coming out and discussing some of the protests and some of the demonstrations or whatever that are being conducted by some pro-Palestinian sympathizers are framing it as some kind of celebration for the civilian deaths on the Jewish side. Now, what I'll say is this unequivocally. First of all, that's slander.
No. First of all, it's not slander. That's what they're doing. They are celebrating the deaths of innocent children and women committed by the murderous Hamas. So trying to frame it other than that is intellectually and morally bankrupt, to say the least. But see, you're trying to poison the well right there, saying, no. The people aren't celebrating in the streets. The people aren't celebrating in the streets about, no, it's about something else. It's about freeing Palestine. It's about, it's while ignoring the fact that what had happened had nothing to do with freeing Palestine and had everything to do with causing as much damage to innocent women and children who are Israeli as they possibly could. But yeah, let's continue.
Quite frankly, and pro-Palestinianism is not equatable with anti-Semitism. It's not equatable with celebrations for Hamas. It's not killing civilians.
Right to the first part, being pro-Palestinian isn't by default anti-Semitic. However, if you celebrate Hamas, who was elected by the Palestinians, and their charter is no agreements, no nothing, let's take back all of the land, which they call Palestine. They're not talking about just Gaza. They're talking about the entire region, which they were not the original inhabitants of anyways, or those who controlled it originally anyways. So yeah, it's anti-Semitic.
Whatever it may be, it's not equated with any of those things at all. And the flag of Palestine doesn't symbolize, and it will not symbolize, and it cannot symbolize, and it has not symbolized, civilian death or the celebration of civilian death.
Yet that's exactly the connection. What they're doing is they are celebrating the civilian deaths. Except, I'm going to bring up this point many times throughout this. The thing about Islam is they talk out both sides of their mouth. They on one hand say that you're not supposed to cause civilian deaths. You're not supposed to kill women and children or quote-unquote innocents. Those who are innocent. But then they fail to tell you that they also believe that anyone who's not Muslim is not innocent, and anyone who is not Muslim is an enemy combatant. So they can switch these terms back and forth. One way, then the other, whichever it suits them. And they do so quite often in the same conversations. Well, let's go.
We don't celebrate, and this is a caveat I'm going to make, a disclaimer that I am going to make. Yes, we do not celebrate any death of any civilian from any religion or any background.
Liar. Like I said, the caveat is that they don't consider any other religion or group valid. Muhammad himself, their prophet, not this Muhammad, the Muhammad, was asked by those who were raiding on his orders, hey, but we've killed women and children. What was their prophet's response? Don't worry about it. They're not us. It's acceptable. So don't say we don't celebrate. They do celebrate. They're in the streets celebrating. They're taking great joy at the pain and misery and the deaths and the murders that were inflicted upon innocent women and children in Israel.
No man, no woman, no child. And that is not despite the Islamic teachings. That is because of the Islamic teaching.
Lie. Again, lie. Why? Because Islam teaches conflicting and complete opposite views on the matter.
Yes, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam unequivocally told us that the killing of women, of children, the mutilating of bodies, and so on and so forth, all of those things are unacceptable.
Wrong. I already pointed out where their prophet, Mohammed, who was burning in hell, specifically said it's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. As long as we're doing what we need to do for the goals that we need to accomplish, it's fine. You liar.
And this is all in narrations and hadith which are muttafaqun alayh, which are authoritative and authentic. So there's no doubt about that. And you can go back to my Twitter feed where I put those hadiths in the Arabic.
Like I said, yeah, go ahead, do the research. Do the research. Look into what I said. Again, the Quran and the Hadith are a smorgasbord of talking out both sides of your mouth so that they can pick and choose what they want for whatever goals that they want to accomplish. But no, he's not going to point that out. Of course not. Doesn't fit his goals and his narratives. Because no, Muslims are just peaceful. No, Muslims, we don't do this. We treat everyone equally. Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Arabic language in which you can translate for your own convenience. So don't try it. Don't try and smear us. Don't try and slander us. Don't try and attack. Don't try and produce red.
You don't have to try. It's in your Quran and in the Hadiths. You yourself do this. Don't believe me? Research it yourself.
Bearings. Now let's go and talk about this situation. First and foremost, I'll say, yes, we condemn any woman, child, or whatever it may be that's being killed who's Jewish and who's not a non-combatant. But why is it the...
You notice that. Who is Jewish and a non-combatant. Remember what I said about the Quran and the Hadiths and Islam? They consider everybody combatants. Everybody is the enemy. So again, this slimy snake talks out both sides of his mouth. But he's not really speaking to Ben Shapiro. He's speaking to those who believe the way he does, reinforcing their bias, bigotry, hatred, and lies, their own propaganda.
Case Ben, huh? Why is it the case that none of your colleagues or you have been able to offer one single condolence, one single condemnation, one single word of sympathy for any of the Gazans that have been killed?
They have. And they have time and time again. And they say how unfortunate it is. But it's a situation now, and I'm going to say this again. Fuck around, find out. Don't start shit, and there won't be shit. These are retaliatory and defensive measures being done by the IDF in Israel. These are not unprovoked attacks and aggression against a poor, innocent peoples. You can't come in after it's done and then act as if the aggressor was the one who simply punched back because they can punch harder. You can't simply ignore that this was in direct response to an attack made by Hamas in furtherance of their goals to stir up shit and to kill as many Israelis as they can, because their goal is not just a two-state solution. It's been offered, they deny it, they refuse it. It's to remove Israel from the face of this earth. So to ignore all of that and act like the stronger of the two parties is by default the aggressor and wrong, that's complete horseshit. Pure and simple.
Throughout the 16 years of blockade in the open air prison that is called Gaza, the suffocating conditions, the gag conditions that have been put in place.
The open air prison. Israel gave Gaza control of itself. They elected a homicidal, maniac, terrorist group to be their government. They elected them. The majority still support them. So there is a border. There is checkpoints where those who live in Gaza can't freely go back and forth in and out of Israel proper. No shit. Why? Because the terrorists come in across the border and they wreak havoc. So they are controlled. But nothing is stopping Gazans from turning Gaza into a paradise, except for the Gazans themselves. The Palestinians that elected Hamas. It's on them. It's Hamas. They could use the aid. They could use the monies to build power plants, to put in desalination plants, to irrigate, to have businesses, to be the Hong Kong of the Middle East. But they choose not to. Why? Because they're full of hate. They're full of barbarism. They're full of Stone Age mentality. And if they actually increased their standards of living and made the land into something worthwhile, they'd have nothing to fuel their anger and barbarism with. But yeah, let's blame Israel for that.
Why is it that you have not been able to apologize for supporting the IDF, who have...
Because no apology is needed.
Perpetrated such actions, knowing full well that when they do so, they will disproportionately kill civilian people.
Yes. Yes, they will. By design, by Hamas and the Palestinians. We'll get into that later.
Why is it that in the imagination of the Western media, when someone is killed who is a Jew, who has a European Jew, frankly, a European Jew, who has lighter skin, that must be cried about and all the leaders must say something, but that if the Palestinian children, if the Palestinian women, if the Palestinian elderly are bombarded, actually the blessings are given. Not only that, encouragement is given for.
Okay. That's number one. Dude, this isn't your first video. Adjust your damn volume. You're clipping. You know, you can just turn the compression up a little bit or turn down your volume of your mic, and then just for video production, go ahead and increase it until it's not clipping. Number two, dude, white skin, really, you have to go there. You see where this guy's going? Oh, the European Jews. The light-skinned Jews. Really? This has nothing to do with the color of a person's skin. But he has to go there. Because he's got nothing. He's got nothing. Plus, it's a lie that people in the West don't care about the innocent children and women that are being killed collaterally by design by Hamas. They wish they wouldn't be killed. They wish they weren't there, which is why the IDF lets them know ahead of time, hey, get the hell out. Get the hell out. We're coming. See this building that you turned into a military target? Get people out of it because it's going. The Hamas and the Palestinians say, nope, not going to do it. So that leaves the IDF two choices. Take it out anyways, and then there's going to be collateral deaths. Or do nothing. Do nothing. Continue to let Hamas and its supporters do whatever the hell they want to do. Do nothing. Take it. Just take it. No, that's unacceptable. But Mohammed Hijab, he's got some other views on what he thinks that Israel should do later in the video, and we'll get to that.
Such a thing. Tell me why. Give me a reason. The first thing I want to respond to is something that you mentioned in your video. Talk about Amalek. Now, for those who don't understand who Amalek are a group that are mentioned in the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. And if someone knows, for example, the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3, then we'll know that there is a genocidal prescription. Now, why is Ben Shapiro mentioning Amalek? Let's take a look at the video.
It did not matter. Just as in the Bible describes Amalek as preying on the weak and the elderly. That this is what they do.
As you can see here now, he's trying to preamble his discussion by talking about Amalek. Now, who are Amalek here? Is it Hamas or is it the Palestinians? This is my question, because you've kept it quite vague here. You've kept it quite vague here because if we look at the Old Testament, it says that go and kill the men, the women, the children, the oxen, the sheep, and even the ass. And even the ass. And I think you're an ass, a jackass. That's what
Oh, bless your heart. Okay. Back in that day, warfare was vastly different than it is today. And they tended to do that. They tended to just wipe people out. And there's a lot of reasons. Talked about this in some of my shows before. I'm not justifying it, but there's an explanation for it. And that's not they are not, Ben Shapiro is not advocating going in to Gaza and just wiping everybody out. He's not doing that. In fact, quite the opposite. I would say that he's bringing it up more for the mentality of Hamas and pretty much what Islam teaches is acceptable. But again, let's spin and try to place upon those who we disagree with and those who we consider the enemy that which they themselves think, believe, and are. But let's continue.
You are. That's what you are. Because you're talking, as we'll see, you're crying with alligator tears. You're
crocodile tears, my man. Crocodile tears. But no, he's not. But it's crocodile tears.
crying about the death of the civilians on the Jewish side, but not one word is spoken. Not one word is spoken about any of the suffering on the other side.
Wrong. Again, wrong. The problem is those in the West and in Israel, they speak about the suffering and they wish that it wasn't happening, but they're not going to not defend themselves because Hamas and the Palestinians themselves create a situation where the casualties are impossible to avoid. In fact, Hamas has openly stated to its people and amongst themselves, we've got the proof, we've got it on tape, that their objective is to create as many casualties as possible so that they can use that as a propaganda tool against the Israelis. It's by design. Like I said, they're setting the playing field, and then they're claiming victim status because they set it up that way. That's hogwash. And the Israelis don't like that, and the West doesn't like that.
Side, but not one word is spoken. Not one word is spoken about any of the suffering on the other side. We
Bullshit.
can't take you seriously. Let's take a look at what you say. You say 3 times, this is what evil looks like.
Again, we all have to watch this. This is what evil looks like. It's what evil looks like. It's what evil looks like. It's what evil looks like.
Okay, this is what evil looks like. I agree. If a child is killed, and this is a big if, by the way, in جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. These reports, the Quran says if someone comes to you with a news, if an evildoer comes to you, and you are the biggest evildoers, with the news, then you have to verify. A lot of the stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, but see, that's hogwash. That's complete bullshit. Because this isn't just about... Ben Shapiro wasn't saying that children and women dying is evil. Because women and children dying by itself is not evil. Why are they dying? When Palestinian women and children die because the IDF is trying to defend Israel from terrorist attacks by Hamas, they are not targeting women and children. They are targeting the military targets and or the terrorists themselves, who gather amongst themselves women and children so that if they're attacked, it causes the death of women and children. Now, keep in mind also that these are the same people that went into Israel and specifically targeted women and children. They weren't casualties, they were targeted. A collateral casualty is not the same as a targeted casualty. The targeting of innocent women and children is evil. But remember what I said about Islam in what the Quran and Hadiths teach. The only innocents are Muslims, according to them. If you are outside the faith, you are not innocent. Again, this is more word games and talking out both sides of their mouth that these snakes do as standard practice.
We don't even know for sure if that's happening or not. But for the sake of argument, some of it we can say beyond reasonable doubt is happening and we condemn. No problem. Any person that's a non-combatant, woman, child, whatever, we condemn the killing of that person. Having said
Right. Remember what I said, though? A non-combatant. What does Islam consider non-combatants? It allows them so much leeway one way and the other that they can play the games that they want to play. But let's continue.
Said that. You said this is what evil looks like. You're saying that's what evil looks like, but when it comes to the images that you're seeing in Gaza, that's not what evil looks like. That's not what evil looks like.
Right. It's not what evil looks like, because one is a defensive measure, and the damage that was done to women and children, the collateral deaths, was caused not by the IDF, but was caused directly from Hamas and the Palestinians themselves. So I would argue, yeah, it's sort of evil. It's evil on their part. It's evil on the part of Hamas and the Palestinians, which are setting the playing field in opposition and in design to cause these deaths.
Let's take a look at Exhibit A. That's not enough for you. Let's take a look at Exhibit B.
Okay. Exhibit A. Rubble and a man shouting something and holding what looks like his daughter. Pretty bad. But why is there rubble? Why is he holding his daughter? This one, the second part, what the hell? A man holding a child? That's it. Just a man holding a child. That could have been taken in the subway, and it wasn't. I'll grant them it was taken in Gaza. But that's nothing. See, this is the same type of bullshit that the left is using on the border. By border now, I don't mean the Gazan border. I'm talking about the border of the United States, the southern border. Is what they'll do is they will show children crying and acting as if that is justification for some sort of a bad that was done to them. It's like, have you ever had a child? Child cry all the time. There's a child crying is not an indication in itself of anything. Of anything. They cry when they're tired. They cry when they're hungry. They cry when they don't get their way. They cry when they're angry. They cry when they're sad. They cry when they're hurt. Why is the child crying? You don't use the fact that a child is crying as any proof or indication of a damn thing. But it's meant to tug on your heartstrings, the same way as this second clip. Example 2. He gives 2 examples. One that's like, yeah, but it doesn't show anything. And number 2, yeah. How about this? How about showing where Hamas went in and targeted women and children and butchered them? But you're going to show 2 random pictures that in themselves don't really prove anything. Oh, but they show children, so yeah, you win. You win. You saw you're posting up a picture of a man holding a child. Might not even be his. We don't know. Could be. I'll even grant you. It's his kid. So fucking what? I don't base my actions in life because I see a child or a crying child. Or, oh, gee, it's gonna pull on my heartstrings. And you certainly don't do that militarily while your enemy, those who have sworn to wipe you off the face of this earth, continue to do any damn thing that they want to do to you. The atrocities that they commit doesn't fucking matter. You're the bad guy. Look at this kid. Oh. Gonna show puppies and kittens next? To prove your point? Puppies and kittens.
Statistically and objectively, if you look at all the operations that have been done, Operation Cast Lead, Operation Protective Edge, the 2021 operation, and then this operation, all of those operations in the 16 years that Gaza has been blockaded, how many Palestinians have died?
Don't fucking care. The question isn't how many. The question is why. Why did they die? How did they die? Again, Hamas and the Palestinians themselves set the field up where Israel is in a no-win situation. If they don't defend themselves, they continue to take casualties and loss and destruction. If they fight back and they try to limit that, Hamas and the Palestinians set it up where it is impossible. It is impossible to conduct those military operations without causing a disproportionate amount of quote-unquote civilian casualties. That's not on the IDF. That's not on Israel. That's on Hamas and the Palestinians. Again, don't start shit. There won't be shit.
How many civilians have died? Answer me that question. How many civilians have died?
And why? And why? Again, don't just how many have died. No, why? Why'd they die? How many could have died? I can guarantee you a hell of a lot more could have died. Israel tends to use restraint that no other nation and no other peoples on earth would do when dealing with this type of shenanigans. So don't sit there and scream about how many civilians have died. They caused their own deaths purposefully. Let me say this again. Hamas and the Palestinians set the playing field so that they can launch terrorist attacks into Israel. And any sort of repercussion and ramification, any sort of military action in opposition to that will cause large amounts of collateral deaths. I would say because of that, it's not really collateral at all. But there you have it.
How many women have died? How many children have died? How many? In 16 years, how many? Thousands and thousands and thousands. Thousands, and not one tear, not one word spoken.
Lie. Plenty of tears, plenty of words spoken. The words are stop fucking around. The words were stop attacking Israel. Stop it. Don't make Israel do this. You are the cause. You want to talk about how many innocent civilians, how many casualties were caused? You caused them. And by you, I mean Hamas and the Palestinians. But you, Mohammed Hijab, want to ignore reality, to paint this picture into something completely different than what it really is. Stop it.
Because you know what? You prefer the blood of your children, the Jewish children, Israeli children, over the blood of ours.
Yeah. Yeah. And I prefer the blood of my children over the blood of my neighbors. I prefer the blood of American children over the blood of Canadian or British children. Yeah, that's the way it works. And in fact, that's exactly how it works according to the Quran and the Hadiths. Your prophet specifically says so. Oh, don't worry about it. They're not of us. They're not of us. So again, this double standard. You know, and I really don't even mind double standards. Have double standards. Everybody has double standards. Just be honest about it. And then do not hold those who you disagree with or you consider the enemy to different standards than you yourself have. I.e., if you have double standards, allow them double standards. Understand this is human nature. This is the way it works. Don't you go, I'm going to prefer mine, fuck yours. But then when you go, hey, I prefer mine, fuck yours, You act like, oh, that's terrible. How bad you are, how wrong you are, how evil you are. Bitch, it's the same damn standards. Same standard you had. Same standard you had. Stop it.
Full stop. How could you not condemn the IDF from doing these bombardments when they know full well that if they do these bombardments, they would disproportionately kill women and children? They do these bombardments, therefore, they disproportionately kill women and children. Don't.
Yeah, we've been over that. We've been over that. How dare you hit me knowing that I'm going to hurt? So if you hit me and I hurt, that's on you. Not the fact that I hit you first. Not the fact that I am setting myself up so that I can get hurt the maximum with the least amount of effort. This guy is a clown. Mohammed Hijab. You're a fucking clown.
Say that, oh, Hamas is using them as human shields. Hamas is using them as, like what?
They are using them as human shields.
Every single member of Hamas has got a child in front of him like that and holding him like this? Is this the comic book picture that you're trying to portray here?
No, that's the comic book picture you're trying to portray to obfuscate the truth. How they use them as human shields is quite simple. They will use schools, apartment buildings, mosques, hospitals, and what have you, as launching pads for rocket attacks, for supplies for military use, and to house Hamas combatants. That, by international law, makes those areas now actual targets. They're legitimate military targets. But Hamas makes sure that the civilians that would normally occupy those buildings stay in those buildings, stay in the apartment complexes, stay in the hospitals, stay in the mosques, stay in it all. So that when Israel comes and takes those places out and gives anywhere usually between 45 minutes and sometimes 24 hours notice, that they create the casualties. That's not the IDF doing this. That's Hamas, and that's the Palestinians themselves.
2.2 million civilians. Are there even enough Hamas to go around and hold them as human shields like that? A child? Are you dumb?
You're dumb. That's not what it means. You're creating a straw man. Well done, jackwagon.
You crazy. And why are you trying to portray as if the only way that there can be an offensive, an attack and defending, as you call it, Israel has to defend it? Why are you making it seem as if that's the only way is through aerial bombardment, where the vast majority of people that are going to be killed are going to be men, women, and children that are non-combatants? Surely there can be boots on ground. Surely you can be a man. The IDF can be men, real brave, real gallant, real courageous, which is something you can't fathom.
Yeah. You see what they're doing? You see what this is doing? What they want is they want a Somali Black Hawk Down situation. They want the IDF to send troops into Gaza so that they can be shot at, bombed, targeted by every open doorway, by every window, by every rooftop. And if they don't do that, they're cowards. If they actually step back and go, no, let's just try to pinpoint these specific targets, these particular buildings, these particular Hamas leaders and or operatives, and they do so via aerial bombardment, that's somehow cowardice. No, that's smart. But okay, smartass. How about this? What's up with all of the rockets that Hamas just indiscriminately fires into Israel, trying to overwhelm and overload the Iron Dome and just kill whatever the fuck they can kill? How is that brave? And let's forget that that's why the IDF is actually taking out these targets in Gaza. Let's forget the first part. Let's act like the cowards that they are, and then claim, when retaliation in a smart way is done back against them, that those who they attacked with cowardly means were in fact the cowards. It's like, stop it. Stop it.
Or don't know anything about. You have no fortitude at all. You have not shown any ability to engage with people even on an intellectual and conversational level. That's how lacking of fortitude that you are.
Right.
Why don't they go face to face with...
And again, Ben Shapiro, he discusses with people all the time. He talks to them intellectually. So again, straw man. Let's poison the well. Let's put out the false narratives, as if doing so and the lies are somehow proof of the points that you're trying to make. You can't win a point by lie. You've lost it. As soon as you try to lie, you've lost it. But go ahead.
With Hamas, fight them. Why'd you have to kill the child? Why'd you have to kill the woman?
They didn't have to kill them. The women and children, by virtue of Hamas and the orders that they give the population, is what caused the woman and the child to die. Israel says, I'm going to bomb A, B, and C. And I'm going to bomb it at this time. Gives them 45 minutes, sometimes up to 24 hours. Get your people out. So don't sit there and then claim that we have to kill, like it's bad. Oh, we have to kill these women and children. Yes, we have to, because they refuse to leave. They refuse to leave. That's like if you sit in the middle of a road and you refuse to leave and you get run over. It's not the fault of the car. You refuse to leave. Get the fuck out of the road. When Hamas launches attacks from a given building, and then the IDF says, I am taking out this given building at 3:30, and it's now 1:30. Please get your women and children out of that building, and you refuse to get the women and children out of that building, that's on you. To expect them to not destroy that building is ludicrous.
Oh, it's 100% collateral damage. And all of the generals that I've been seeing, I say, yeah, collateral damage. They've been asked by the Western media, collateral damage. It's going to be the worst thing. One of them says the worst thing since World War II. And you're talking to me about the Holocaust when you have one of your commanders telling, yeah, it's going to be the worst thing since the Holocaust, effectively. And we're not talking about Hamas. We're talking about children here.
No, you're talking about children and women that are being placed or were already there, and Hamas chose their locations because the children and women were there. Yes, they are collateral damage. They are collateral damage. And they're collateral damage not caused by Israel, but by Hamas and the people who choose to stay there. If you choose to stay in a building that you've been told is about to get blown up, you chose your own death. To think that they're not going to do it. This is the problem with a lot of these protesters and shit too. Again, the highway thing. You're relying on the good graces of everybody else not to run your ass over. You shouldn't be in the road. Well, Israel is not going to not blow up that building because you're an idiot that wants to stay in that building. It's not how it works.
Talk about women here. We're talking about elderly people. You make me sick. You make me sick.
No, no. Let me be clear. Ben Shapiro does not make you sick. You are sick. You were sick well before Ben Shapiro. You are sick.
But what's even worse is that you go on to talk about the Palestinians and you deny that it's even an apartheid state. Let's take a look at what you say.
Let me point out at this point, there is no apartheid.
There is none.
20% of Israel's population is Arab.
So you deny that Israel is an apartheid state?
Right.
Why don't you look at any factual definition of what apartheid is?
Okay. Okay. Now he goes, why don't you look at any factual definition of what apartheid is? And then he's going to, watch this, he's going to give a bullshit definition, non-factual. No, nobody actually believes this. But watch. This is his definition of apartheid.
Apartheid is when there's discrimination based on race. A good example of that is South.
Apartheid is when there's discrimination based on race. That's it. Really? And then he's going to bring up South Africa. South Africa did not have simply discrimination based on race. It was a minority white population controlling the entire population, who most of which were black, and not giving them the same rights, privileges, and abilities. It's not just discrimination. It's a whole legal and systemic issue. That's not what's happening in Gaza concerning Israel. And it's certainly not happening in Israel proper, where Arabs, Jews, Christians, whatever, if you're a citizen, you have the same rights. They've got Muslim judges. They got Muslim, that I think one of the biggest banks in Israel is owned by a Muslim. They've got Muslims in government. That's not apartheid. See, none of that shit happened in apartheid South Africa. None of it. So to use the word apartheid and then try to say it's just any discrimination based, yeah, fuck you. That's not what apartheid is. If it was, damn near every nation and every group throughout the history of mankind would have been apartheid. And they weren't. Stop it.
Africa. In a state, are you telling me Sheikh Jarrah was not apartheid? Are you telling me what happened in Sheikh Jarrah when there was dispossession, when there was detainment, when there was not a fair chance for the Muslim Palestinians, or not even Muslims, it could be any Palestinian, Christian even, that they would not have a fair judiciary?
No, it was fair. Because the outcome is not what you want doesn't mean it wasn't fair. Stop it.
You crack at the whip. You're telling me this is equivalent to this. This guy's rights are equivalent to these guys' rights. Are you dumb? Are you mad? Are you crazy? What have you been smoking, boy? Huh?
What have you been smoking, boy? Huh? Huh? What have you been smoking, boy? Now, keep in mind, this is also Mohammed Hijab demands that everybody treat him with the utmost respect, that they don't insult him, that they don't raise their voice to him, that they don't act towards him in any sort of way that is not nice. Well, again, double standards. There you go. Good job, Mohammed Hijab.
Why have you been smoking? Your voice is so high. We've been taking some helium. Are you crazy?
Your voice is so high. Are you smoking some helium? Are you crazy? From a guy whose voice, for a good part of his presentation, was almost 3 octaves higher than his normal speaking voice. And he's yelling like he's fucking crazy. See that double standard shit again? Again, if I get agitated and I get emotional, and I do, I can, I don't then try to act as if the person that I disagree with or the other party is somehow wrong because they do it. If they do it, I do it, whatever. I hold the same standards. He clearly doesn't, because that's not even the Muslim way. Of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't.
Crazy? Are you mad? Don't go there. And what's even worse is that you go further than this.
Oh,
You
further.
talk about the annexation. Listen to this. This guy who thinks he's talking about, he's calling everyone else Nazis, but he seems to have the most fascistic and authoritarian, dictatorial prescriptions.
Okay, let's start with this. And you're going to bring up international law. What does international law say about just targeting women and children? Targeting, not collateral, targeting. There's a difference. What does international law say about launching rockets into another sovereign area? Just indiscriminately, just launching rockets. What does it say? Again, you like to pick and choose shit. But annexing what is now Gaza was given back to Gaza the same way as they gave back a shit ton to Jordan. Israel has given back a lot of land. They had control over what is Gaza. They gave it to the Palestinians, who then elected Hamas. And they don't want a two-state solution. They don't want their own sovereignty, even though they're allowed to govern themselves. Israel doesn't govern Gaza. Hamas governs Gaza. So when Ben talks about, and other people talk about, annexing Gaza, in other words, taking it back, and then controlling what the hell is going on, it's for their own safety, because they've got a festering boil of poison pus with Stone Age mentality, bigotry, and hatred that is trying to and has sworn to wipe Israel off the face of the map. So don't bring this up. Oh, it's bad to annex Gaza. Stop it.
He's calling everyone else, all of his rivals, as Nazis. The Hamas Nazis, this Nazis, that one Nazis, the left-wing Nazi. Yeah. And what you're prescribing are effectively authoritarian dictators.
Okay, what would you call somebody that calls for the extermination of Jews? Pretty Nazi. Now you don't have to agree with everything that Israel has done. Lord knows I don't. They've made mistakes. Everybody's made mistakes. But to ignore the fact that Hamas and the Palestinians that support him are they've sworn their goal is to wipe Israel off the fucking map, to exterminate all Jews in their vicinity. That's pretty freaking Nazi shit there, Mr. Hijab.
Dictatorship type, Nazi type policies. Let's take a look at what you talk about when you talk about the annexation of Gaza.
Whether Israel annexes the Gaza Strip, as it damn well should, because the Palestinians have proved themselves incapable of self-governance in the Gaza Strip by allowing Hamas to overrun them.
Now, this is beggars belief, really. Either you don't understand how the political system of certain countries and states work, you're blissfully ignorant, or you're intentionally ignorant, or you're trying to...
It's not just simply because they elected Hamas. It's because they elected Hamas, and on top of that, it's not like a Democrat versus Republican, and they didn't vote in the right party. Hamas has sworn to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, you jackwagon. I would argue that the Germans that allowed the Nazis to take control of Germany in the 30s were similar. They were incapable. They, by virtue of allowing that to happen, incapable of governing themselves. And you know what? Guess what? After World War II, we didn't annex Germany. Yes, we had parts of Germany that we were there and we were policing, absolutely. But the Germans ran themselves, except for Berlin. The Soviet-controlled Berlin, except for Soviet-controlled Germany. Western Germany, they could, hey, you're not Nazis. Govern yourself. We're just here to make sure that shit stays in place. It's not the case with Gaza. Gaza is still headlong into wanting to exterminate the Jews from the face of the earth. The opposite is not true of Israel towards Gaza. So stop it.
Fool the ignorant. Either way, ignorance must feature in this analysis.
No, ignorance features into your entire rebuttal to Ben Shapiro because it ignores all of reality. Propaganda horseshit is what it is. Spin, obfuscation, and outright propaganda lies. Gaslighting.
Ignorance must feature in this analysis. If you're saying that Israel's not an apartheid state, but then
It's not.
in the next breath, you are recommending formal annexation through conquest, which, as you know, is against international law. But you don't care about international law. Forget.
Yeah, annexing it, and they would be given the same exact rights and abilities as everybody in what I keep saying, Israel proper. He and his ilk act as if they would run that territory within Israel as if it was different than any other place in Israel, and that's not it. They would be welcomed into the fold or brought into the fold and then treated just like everybody else, but they would then be in control. Same laws, same abilities, same everything applied to everybody.
Forget international law, no problem. Don't call your country a democracy. Don't call your country a pluralistic place or a liberal place. Don't be stupid.
No, it is.
You're calling for annexation because the Palestinians cannot.
Annexation, and then they would be under the same umbrella, same laws as everybody else. Not different, the same.
I'm not capable of choosing the right people. So you must make the decision for them, don't you, Ben? You must make the decision for them. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
For his own safety. For the safety of Israel.
What's shocking is that those protectors, the bastions, the archetypes, the personifications, the walking freedom of speech advocates.
Right. So because the Germans elected the Nazis under free democratic vote, the world, while the Nazis do whatever the fuck they want to do, is to sit back and not do anything. You got two choices. And again, there's two choices there. You either remove the threat, i.e. Hamas, or you annex the country, you annex the area, and then you control it. Because it's not about, oh, they don't agree with us. No, Hamas is the threat. Hamas is the terrorist. Hamas, again, I don't know how many times I got to say this, openly states that their goal is to wipe Israel off the map. Stop it.
Who are with you at the Daily Wire? None of them are saying, wait a minute. Doesn't this deny self-determination? Isn't this against constitutional American rights that we...
Self-determination, yes. But not self-determination to kill us at will. Stop it.
Speak about so much. None of your friends have told you that, wait a minute, let's rephrase this a little bit so it can be in line with maybe some constitutional principles that we are espousing.
What fucking constitutional principles does Hamas rule Gaza? What constitutional principles does Hamas rule Gaza? Do you think that anybody who isn't Muslim, anybody that isn't openly Muslim, gets the same treatment as anybody that is openly Muslim in Gaza? You're insane. They don't. But you're going to throw constitutional. How about this too? There's only one, really, constitution. There's no Western nation that has a constitution like the United States. None. If you think so, do your research. It doesn't happen. But yeah, let's continue.
Elsewhere, that we're advocating elsewhere, that we're speaking about elsewhere. How could this be in line with democracy? How could this be like
elsewhere? Let me get this clear again. Elsewhere isn't fucking killing everybody else that isn't them. Elsewhere is not killing Israel. Elsewhere isn't killing their neighbor trying to wipe them off the map. You jackwagon. criminy.
Because that's what you preach. So why don't you practice what you preach? But no, it's Palestinians. As I don't know what his name is, the politicians, they're human animals, right? They're human animals, so they have to be treated as a second.
Hamas and those who support Hamas are human animals.
Okay, fine, have it your way. But
I would say they're not even human. They're human animal excrement is what they are. Yeah, I said it. Stop it.
Don't call yourself not an apartheid state. You're an apartheid state.
That's not apartheid.
Don't pretend to be a liberal democracy.
No.
Do not
Wrong.
pretend to be a liberal democracy. And don't call other people Nazis when your prescriptions are Nazistic and fascistic in nature.
Right. Wrong. Wrong.
I don't know how the general public in America, most of which believe in a kind of constitutionalism, a kind of democracy, the majority, how could they tolerate this behavior?
Because the Gazans, Hamas, the Palestinians that support Hamas, are terrorists hell-bent on destroying the nation of Israel. They do not recognize the state of Israel, and they want to wipe all Jews off the face of this earth. So let's just ignore all of that and then play your freaking word salad. Throw out terms. You forked tongue snake, you. Talking out both sides of your mouth.
It must be that dehumanization has reached a critical boiling point.
Dehumanization coming from a Muslim. Read the Quran and the Hadith. Because they are not of us. They're the others. They're the others. Don't bring your dehumanization. Your acts dehumanize you. Your beliefs, your bigotry, your hatred, your Stone Age mentality, your refusal to join the modern world is what makes you who you are. And the rest of the world's supposed to just roll over and let you just shit and piss all over the place like the wild beasts that you are? Stop it. Stop it.
Critical mass. It has to have reached critical mass where these people now, honestly, their death and the images that we saw in the beginning of this video are inconsequential. It must be that they're inconsequential. Absolutely sickening and disgusting.
Yeah, wrong. It's not inconsequential. Don't start shit and there won't be shit. You can't poke the hornet's nest. You can't take a baseball bat to somebody and then when they shoot you, act like you were the fucking victim. Disproportionate. Bitch, you're causing that. Hamas is causing that. The Palestinians who are following Hamas and supporting Hamas are causing that. Stop it.
Disgusting.
You're disgusting.
And I think you've been watching a lot of my videos because you're starting to use my vernacular.
He has an unfortunate history of being pusillanimous about all this.
Pusillanimous? I don't know of any better word to describe you. A person who's been challenged in debate for a very, very long time. And all you can approach as a college student.
Again, wrong. Ben Shapiro has debated lots more than college students. And no, Ben Shapiro was not getting his vernacular from watching your videos because you like to throw a big word out every once in a while. Ben's actually a smart guy. Whether you like him or not, Ben's a smart guy. He uses big words quite often. He's not getting them from you, Mr. Oxford educated. He likes his education. Shut up. Pusillanimous. Because he uses pusillanimous and you use pusillanimous, he's evidently, oh my God. Oh, me and Jordan Peterson use a lot of the same words too. He tends to use it a lot more than I do. So I guess I got all my words from Jordan Peterson. Wrong. Wrong. The height of ego, the height of hubris, of this pimple on the ass of a flea is astounding. Well, let's go.
Just like the IDF, cowardly. You're cowardly because the IDF want low risk, high reward. And for them, a high reward is high.
Right. Low risk, high reward. And for them isn't mass casualties. It's taking out the target. The high reward, and I've said this before, is by Hamas. Hamas and the Palestinians that support them want mass casualties to use as a PR tool to stoke the flames of hatred, bigotry, anger, and Stone Age mentality that is far too rampant amongst the Palestinians and clearly around the goddamn world. Stop it.
High civilian casualties, where they're pressing
Wrong.
buttons in planes when they're very safe, but they don't want face-to-face confrontation.
They don't want a Black Hawk down, you jackwagon.
I mean, why haven't we seen boots on ground? This is absolutely cowardly behavior. Why is there aerial bombardment, which affects...
Don't tell me, again, do not tell me about cowardly behavior from people that indiscriminately launch shit tons of crap rockets into Israel and then invade Israel, targeting women and children. Don't you dare talk about cowardice.
A majority of civilians. Why are you advocating this? You're a coward. The IDF are cowards, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Pusillanimous. You're a puss. You're a puss.
Are you on helium? Are you insane? Why is your voice so loud and so high? Are you on helium? Are you insane?
I can't see a bigger puss than you. Cannot think of a bigger puss than you. Don't use that term as if you've got something. Any kind of fortitude. Walking around with security guards everywhere.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro has security guards, and his house has security because there have been credible threats against his life and that of his family. Shut the fuck up. Where are you? What have you done? What have you done? What have you done in this world that puts yourself on the line? Really, that puts yourself on the line. I know what I've done. What have you done? Stop it.
Make me sick. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, you make me sick. No, Mohammed Hijab. Ben Shapiro did not make you sick, does not make you sick. You are sick. You are a sick, disgusting, festering, bile-filled pimple on the ass end of a flea. But you go ahead and you raise your voice in indignation. You go ahead and you spout your lies. Yeah. We know the truth. And there it is. There it is. Hey, folks. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to support the content, please use the links that are in the show description. Come back and watch more. This has been Breaking Leather, and I'm the Whiskey Cowboy.